students and teachers and guests across the province. Welcome to our webinar today, Digital Colorism and AI, with our guest, Christelle Mombo-Zigah. So excited and curious about the topic we're going to be learning about today. My name is Heidi Siwak. I am your teacher coach for the AI Challenge, and I extend a warm welcome to all of you. We are going to start with our land acknowledgement. This is a moment for us all just to take a deep breath, maybe put your feet on the floor, relax a little bit, perhaps think of a special place, a land area that you feel a personal connection to as we read the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are being hosted on distinct and diverse traditional territories of the First Nations and Métis where we live. And I think we are on lands that are governed by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant. The idea is that we all can peacefully live together in sharing this one dish, this land, and all that it provides, so long as we each are mindful of only taking what we need. We also recognize the enduring presence of all First Nations, Métis, and the Inuit peoples. And I think we believe that the land acknowledgement is a moment for learning. So I'd like to share something with you that I learned as I was developing the Artificial Intelligence Challenge. Canada has 3 major AI institutes, one in Alberta, one in Toronto, and one in Quebec. And Mila is the AI Institute in Quebec. And they're doing some really interesting work partnering with different Indigenous communities. And there's actually a program there for young Indigenous people called Indigenous Pathfinders in AI. It's a summer program that Indigenous young people can attend and learn about artificial intelligence, but also think about what forms of artificial intelligence they want. They want to create that reflect their indigenous knowledge systems or Indigenous connections to the land, things that are important to their various Indigenous communities. It's called Indigenous Pathfinders in AI. And that might be something you want to explore as a non-Indigenous person, just curious about it, or as an Indigenous young person who's thinking, oh, where's pathways for me in artificial intelligence? So I thought I would share that with you. All right, our topic for today, why should we learn about digital colorism in AI? At the launch event last week, I spoke to you about the many different ways that artificial intelligence is biased, from who's creating the algorithms, to what is in the training data, who's represented, who isn't represented in training data, and to things that are generated by artificial intelligence based on that training data. So today, I think it's a really good moment for us to stop and think about, well, what are the implications for that? How does that actually affect humans? Remember, our question is, how might AI enrich the lives and possibilities of every student in our school? And one idea we want you to keep in mind as you go through the challenge is deeply human. Fundamentally, AI has to be good for humans. So our session today is really an opportunity for you to consider the impact of biases in AI, but also action-oriented thinking as well, right? What can be done about it? And in particular, what is our guest doing about biases that are in AI? So at this moment, I'd like to invite our guest, Christelle Mombo-Zigah. I invite you, Christelle, to turn on your camera. Yes. Welcome to Canada. Bienvenue, because I know you speak French. So happy to have you with us today. Students, meet Christelle Mombo-Zigah. Christelle was born and raised in France to parents who are Congolese parents. She currently lives in Silicon Valley. She's a wife. She's a mother of 2 lovely daughters. She studied at La Sorbonne at the University of Paris, international economics, and she's also graduated from Stanford. She's a great leader, and she's a problem solver who's worked in technology for a long period of time. And she's really taking a people-first minded stance to artificial intelligence and to technology, thinking about human-centered experiences, sustainability, how do we create responsible AI and create a place in particular for women in technology. She believes it's really important to make AI accessible to everyone, to have policies and regulations and laws in public and private spaces so that the pernicious effects of discriminating historical data, harmful algorithms, we start to think about that a little way, so we can get rid of those and create a form of artificial intelligence that is really good for people. So Christelle, welcome. So happy to have you here today. I'm going to stop sharing my slides right now and I will turn it over to you. And
Thank you very
students,
much.
remember, if you have questions, put those in the WhatsApp group.
All right. Thank you very much, Heidi, for such a great introduction. And hi, everyone. My name is Christelle Mombo-Zigah again, and I'm so delighted and happy to be here today to share with you a little bit more about my work on digital colorism. So let me share my screen very quickly with you. And I do hope you see it. Heidi, can you confirm that you see my screen?
I don't see it yet,
Oh,
Christelle.
not yet. Okay, let me click on share.
We see it now, and if you could
Okay,
just share.
perfect. Great.
Yes.
Awesome. So again, I'm Christelle Mombo-Zigah. I am based in the Silicon Valley in California. I am originally from France and originally from the Congo DRC. I was born and raised in France, and then I decided in my late 20s to move to the United States by myself to live the American dream, and I haven't left since then. I am also the founder of Digital Colourism, and digital colorism is an AI fairness solution that aims at detecting and remediating biases in AI generated humans. I will share with you that I've been experiencing biases in AI for the last 5 years. So it was not something necessarily new, even though I only decided to start my own company last year in the end of October 2024. But it was almost 5 years in the making. And I was just seeing that representation was not necessarily the same across all racial groups and ethnicities and genders when it was about AI representation or even AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and now in terms of generative AI as well. So, what is digital colorism? And I'm going to provide a definition based on the work that I am doing. So, digital colorism is actually a form of bias in AI. So, when we are talking about AI, again, I'm talking about artificial intelligence, but also machine learning and the way the algorithm is being trained on the data and the way the algorithm is actually being created to generate outputs, and also in generative AI around all the activities of creating new forms of information that are being generated with artificial intelligence. And digital colorism actually appears when you see some certain characteristics, including, as an example, the skin tone, but also the hair representation, facial features, age, and all cultural markers are more or less represented over others. So you see that there are some gaps and discrepancies on how people are actually being represented by artificial intelligence. And this digital colorism affects how AI represents humans in generated images. And it does reinforce harmful stereotypes while favoring Eurocentric standards of beauty. So this is really what my work is about. And again, it really came from obviously past experiences 5 years ago. And I have a little anecdote. When I was using the technology that we are using today, a collaboration technology where we can interact virtually. and I was wearing different hairstyles and I was putting a virtual background behind me, I was seeing that when my hair were represented in their natural shape and form, in an afro, kinky curly afro, my hair were just disappearing behind the virtual background. And this is really how and when I realized that, again, representation was not the same depending on how you were looking or how your hair was being represented. And again, it was 5 years ago. The reason why I really decided to create digital colorism is because last September, October, when I wanted to try AI generated headshots. So I wanted to update my professional profile. I didn't necessarily want to go to a photographer, a professional photographer. And I was seeing online all those new offers of AI generated headshots, AI edited headshots. So I wanted to give it a try. It was affordable, it was fast, it was quick, it was something that I could get, within a matter of minutes or hours. So I was very, very interested in trying that technology. And unfortunately, after downloading my own personal picture and having the AI generating new digital representation of myself, that's when I saw a lot of those discrepancies around the skin tone and the hair. So I will show you a little bit more. But as digital natives, your generation has the power to reshape how AI depicts humanity. And that's all my work is about. I want to make sure that you have the awareness that AI is not perfect yet, but we can do something about it. And we can hold companies building AI accountable and make sure that they have an understanding that AI should benefit everyone and everyone should be fairly represented. Okay, so going back to AI generated humans and starting with the basic. So when we are talking about AI generated humans, they are created through images by learning. So AI learns patterns from millions and trillions of photos on the internet. So in order to create AI generated humans, you need to have data. You need to have training data. And those training data are mainly coming from the internet. And that's how you can see some discrepancies in who is represented and how people are represented, depending on what is available on the internet. So they are then, from those training data, learning pattern. So those systems develop preferences based on the data they are being trained on. So if they see a majority of people looking a certain way, this is going to be based on their pattern, how people are going to be represented through artificial intelligence. And there is AI generated humans are being used every day. You see AI humans on social media, you see them in the gaming industry, on multiple apps, on online advertising, and they are going to continue to grow. We are talking about a market that is going to reach $1.8 trillion by 2033. So AI generated humans is an exploding market. We are going to see more and more and more of them. And that's the reason why it is very important to see a fair, diverse representation of those AI generated humans. So the way I define generated humans as per my work is all digital representations of humans that are either created or modified or enhanced with artificial intelligence. So you see them in digital avatars that you mainly see in the gaming industry as an example. You can see AI generated humans in as digital humans, and those are the ones that you see more and more in customer support, and they are static or non-static avatars that are now talking to you. You can see them in the healthcare industry. This is what we call digital clones and digital twins. I'm bringing back my example on when I was first put in front of AI generated headshots. And so AI-generated headshots are also a form of AI-generated humans because they are modified and enhanced with artificial intelligence, and they are used mainly on social media for hiring purposes, but also in the entertainment industry. And last but not least, which is actually a very old technology, but a lot of the beauty filters that you find on Instagram, on TikTok, on Snapchat, they are also a form of AI generated humans because the underlying technology is artificial intelligence for those beauty filters to actually change some aspect of your identity and representation and the way you represent yourself. So, how can we spot biases in AI generated humans? So, we see that there are biases because and I'm going to show more examples, but there is a very limited view of diversity. You see that AI usually often creates humans with very similar features, very similar body shape, very on the skinnier side, and lighter skin tones, strangely enough. But everything is coming again from the training data that they get and that they're being trained on that are available on the internet. You also see a lot of stereotypical features. So you see that some certain ethnicities are being portrayed and they are reinforcing very harmful stereotypes. If you go and you use some text to image AI generation as an example, and you search for a CEO, so most of the time, using multiple AI tools available, the CEO is going to be represented as a white male. So it's going to be, from a gender perspective, mainly a male, and from a racial and ethnicity group, a white person. So you see that there are some stereotypes that are being exaggerated and that are being perpetuated through AI generated images. And we also experience, obviously, some very unequal representation where you have some genders and ethnicities that are overrepresented versus others that are less and less represented. And everything comes from, obviously, again, the training data that you find on the internet, but also the teams of people that are building and developing those technologies. The less diverse this team is, the less diverse the output of those AI generated images is going to be. So let me give you some examples of how I experienced bias myself in AI generated image. So you see here myself, it's an original image of myself, which is actually a professional photo from a professional photographer. So when I was starting to try those AI generated images, I was actually very hopeful that the results that I would have would be very close to the way I like to represent myself. I like to wear braids a lot of my time, or sometimes my hair kinky curly in an afro. I like to wear vibrant colors. I know that my skin tone is deep in terms of complexion. I'm deeply melanated. So I was actually expecting AI to be able to represent myself the way I was looking. And when I started using those tools, I realized that a pattern in terms of hair representation was happening almost 90% of the time. I could get very, very few pictures of myself represented with braids, which were, again, the input images that I was feeding into those AI generated images tools. So you see that the skin tone is yet not necessarily the same as the original. It tends usually to be lighter. The hair is systematically 90% of the time turned into straight hair, which is very not necessarily the way I represent my hair. I might, but that's not the way I represent my hair. And this is not the way my hair are represented in the pictures that I provide as output. The body shape also, even though sometimes I wouldn't mind losing a few pounds or kilograms, the body shape is usually slender, much skinnier. So I could see some patterns in terms of how AI was altering and almost erasing identities, because I'm very proud of the way I look. I'm very proud of my skin tone. I'm very proud of the way I carry my hair and represent my hairstyles. And I was seeing myself being altered and erased through AI generated images. I'm going to show you another set of example through other tools that I've used that are AI generated based again on my original image. So here you see an even starker difference. On the previous page, at least I was still represented as a Black woman. On this one, and again, those images came from me providing images of myself, original images of myself. And those are the results that I got from different AI generated tools. So as you can see again, the skin is even lighter and is really turning through a different skin tone and a different racial and ethnicity group. The hair is again turned from wearing braids to straighten hair, which is not necessarily the way I carry my hair. And interestingly enough, when I show those pictures, people are like, I feel like she kind of looked like you, even though we know it's not me. And we know that I cannot use those pictures. I cannot use those pictures for my professional social media. I could potentially use them for fun, maybe if I had to do a prank, but those are not images representative of who I am as a Black woman. I see myself being little by little not only altered, but also fully erased by the way AI is representing me. And I'm very curious to see at this point if you face the same issues, if you had the same experiences. I'm always very much willing to have also some feedback from other users. And this one is just unacceptable. None of them are acceptable, but the last one is completely unacceptable. And again, I used the tool and I provided my original image, and this is what I got. So after experiencing a lot of frustrations by using those AI generated tools, I decided to do something. I decided that instead of just complaining and instead of just writing blogs, because I like to write blogs and share my experiences and so on and so forth, I actually decided to build my own company about it and to find a way, again, to hold companies building those tools more accountable. And I did it through different ways, and I will show you now. But before, what was also driving me in doing something about it was also because as much as I was reading a lot of studies and white papers on the impact of beauty filters on individuals, on men and women, and on teenagers and adults and young adults and adults, I realized that what was being created from those AI generated images would exacerbate and accelerate even more all the different social impacts that you find while using just pure beauty filters. And you see that a lot of surgeons, happy to share more studies after this conversation, that surgeons are seeing a lot of their patients in the medical field coming to them and showing them images of them, the patient, created through the beauty filter, and telling them, this is what I want to look like. Make me look like this person, which is not this real person. This is a modified, enhanced sometimes, but very modified images of the original person. You see also that when you look at body image issues, so low self-esteem, low confidence, low self-love, body image issues are um, coming from social media, and they affect already more than 20% of adults and 40% of teenagers. So I was just thinking about me as a mother of two daughters, two Black girls. I want to make sure that the world they are going to live in is not going to be a world where they are going to be socially stressed and depressed and having a high level of anxiety because all the images of themselves are going to be altered image that are going to erase their identity. I was also thinking about all the extreme surgery practices that are going to come from all those images. By seeing images of yourself that are not yourself, you might think about undergoing extreme plastic surgery procedures to look like, again, an image that would be Gen AI or AI generated. And last but not least, I'm originally coming from the Congo DRC in Africa. And I know that in Africa, I think 75% of the population bleach their skin. It's skin bleaching is extremely harmful for the users. There's a lot of chemicals. Those chemicals are carcinogen. So I don't want to see an acceleration and an explosion of extreme surgery and skin bleaching practices because the images of yourself that are generated are lighter with different hair representation, different body size, different age representation. You look younger, and so on and so forth. So I really thought about the social impact when I developed my company around digital colorism, and which is called digital colorism. So what I built is actually an AI fairness solution that is able to detect biases across all the different categories that I talked about. How is your skin tone different from your original picture? How is your hair different from the original picture? How is your hair represented? Do you have differences in the texture? But do you also have differences in the hair color? I've been talking to a lot of users who are more mature women, and they were telling me, Christelle, anytime I'm using those tools, I cannot use the outputs. I cannot use the outcomes because I am a very proud, mature woman with gray hair, and those tools are turning my hair into blonde or brunette, or they don't represent my hair in their gray color. So how is your hair represented? How is your age represented? Those tools tend to make you look sometimes 20 years younger. Again, it is not necessarily what you expect from those AI tools. You just want tools that are representing you um, as closer as you want. Sometimes just changing some elements of yourself. It can be the outfit. It can be the outfit. It can be the background. But you still want to be you. You still want to be represented the way you are. We are doing some analysis across different ethnicities and different skin tones, and then we are recommending corrections to those companies that are building AI generated humans. So how our solution work? So I created an AI fairness solution that provides a risk score around the level of biases that you can find from, again, the differences between an original image and an AI generated one. And so we do some image analysis and we scan the images across the skin tone, the facial features. I will show a quick demo of our tool right after. We identify all the different biases across the categories that I talked about: skin tone, hair, age, body size, age representation, and cultural markers, because we also saw that, as an example, women wearing hijab were removed their hijab once they were going through AI generated images. We also recommend some data adjustment, and you have the ability to test new outputs and to do some verifications of the results. So how can companies remediate with bias in AI generated humans? One, they need to, obviously, as they are getting their images from the internet, they need to ensure that they are a diverse representation of the images that they are training their algorithm on. So diverse data collection is number one. Then they need to make sure that their algorithm is adjusted. They cannot just expect to apply a blanket approach across every single human beings, because we all look different. And again, we want to to preserve some authenticity and integrity in the way we are represented. You also need to keep a human in the loop, and that's the reason why I'm here. This is my company. We are reviewing generated images, and we are leveraging not only our human eyes, but also our bias detection engine, which is AI powered. And I will show you a quick demo. And last but not least, we are offering remediation strategies. So we are helping companies in testing regularly, not only their outputs, but also taking a look at their training data and their algorithm in the pursuit of continuous improvement. Look, going back to the impact of fair AI, we want to make sure that we are not building the next generation of highly anxious individuals that are going to be bombarded by images that will not be authentic representation of themselves. We want to enhance personal confidence. We want people to have a high level of confidence and self-esteem and self-love. We want to make sure that everyone is being represented in a positively fashion. Culturally speaking, it's also about cultural respect. When I'm wearing braids, I don't want my hair to be represented in a way that is not the way I authentically and intentionally represent my hair in braids or in an afro, as an example. Or when someone from a Muslim background is wearing a hijab, you don't want this person to be removed her hijab when the image is AI generated. We also obviously focus on equal opportunities. We want to make sure that there is a continuous fair representation in educational materials, because we are building history on a daily basis. If you start erasing individual through artificial intelligence, within the next second or third iterations, there won't be people looking like me or looking like you anymore. There will just be this fake representation of human beings with a skin tone that will be very different and very Eurocentric, with beauty standards that will be very Eurocentric. There won't be equal opportunities and equal representation. And last but not least, the reason why I'm building and I've built digital colorism is because I want to build a digital world that reflects real diversity. When I'm thinking about the next generations and when I'm thinking about my daughters, I want them to evolve in a world where they are being seen, they are being included in both digital and virtual world, as in physical worlds as well. So before I move to my demo, I just wanted to give a quick call to action in terms of what you can do to become an AI fairness champion. So every time you see images on social media or on in the entertainment industry or on advertisement, question the image and notice when the AI generated actually lack diversity, or if people are all looking alike with the same hairstyle, the same facial features, the same skin tone, and ask why certain groups are not represented the way they should be. Learn to code. There's a lot of conversations about coding being disappearing, but it's still important just from a problem solving perspective to learn how to code and to understand how AI works. And share your knowledge. Tell your friends about digital colorism. Try some of those tools. And if you see that they are not representing you the way you should be represented, speak up as I did. Write articles, build something to detect those biases and help those companies become more aware and be more intentional and mindful when they are developing those technologies. You can see me on my website on www.digitalcolorism.com, and you can find me on LinkedIn as well, where I am the most active. I'm a very busy mom and very busy professional, so I'm not necessarily yet on other social media, but LinkedIn is the one where you can find me as well. And continue to have conversation about fairness in technology. It is very important, again, we want to build AI technologies that benefit for everyone, where everyone is fairly represented everyone has a voice and everyone can belong to the digital, virtual, and the physical worlds as well. All right, so let me now, for anyone who is curious, and this is going to be the first time I'm going to show the demo. It's a prototype, again, on my solution, which is called Digital Colourism, and it's a solution that detects and offer remediation strategies to mitigate biases in AI-generated humans. Okay, so let me start from the beginning, put myself in. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna click first play. Oops, sorry. It's a little bit too quick. Hold on. It's always way too fast. Okay, let me start again. And Heidi, can you see my video? Can you confirm?
Yes, I can see your video. I see your whole screen right now, but when you switch to just share your screen, I see it all.
Okay, and you can hear what I'm saying as well?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So let me click play, change the speed to a normal speed, and then go back to the full screen view.
So Christelle, you put your picture in and the AI generated one, and it has a risk level of 10, I see. And
Yes.
then you're listing all kinds of things that you've identified. Could you scroll down again so we could see that list?
Sure, absolutely. So this is a video that I made of my tool. So I can go back here. So here, so those are the categories that I created. So after seeing some patterns with my human eyes on all the different discrepancies that I was seeing anytime I was sending my original pictures as an input and getting AI generated images of supposedly myself as an output, I realized that those were the categories where I was seeing the most discrepancies. So I built this scoring system, and it really started from a piece of paper. And I was like, oh, my skin tone is different. Okay, I'm going to really start analyzing where are the differences in skin tone when I'm getting AI generated images of myself. I was seeing that my hair were represented very differently most of the time, and they were always tending to be represented with straight hair, which I barely wear myself. And there is nothing wrong with straight hair; it's just not necessarily my preference in wearing straight hair. So I was seeing that my skin tone, my hair was represented very differently, my facial features. So it was never really my nose, never really my mouth, not my teeth. So I also was seeing a lot of discrepancies and patterns around those discrepancies. The eye shape is something that I added after a few months. So I was not necessarily very much concerned on the eye shape. But this tool is not only for me. This tool is actually for all racial groups and all genders and all ethnicities. And I know that the eye shape can be significantly altered or transformed depending on your ethnicity as well. When you are coming from Asia, as an example, there are a lot of transformation and changes in the eye shape. So I wanted to make sure that this category was represented from a bias perspective. For the age, I was seeing obviously with pictures of myself, but also after talking to multiple of users that I interviewed, they were telling me I look way younger in those pictures. That's the reason why I cannot use them, because those pictures are not me. So I'm putting my money in those tools and I cannot use those pictures. So that's the reason why I also added age representation. And I was saying that I was also appearing younger. Body size and shape, people usually have this representation of the perfect body, very very skinny for women, very muscular for men. So this was also a category that where I was seeing a pattern in terms of alteration and erasure and transformation of identity. And last but not least, around the cultural attire, so scarves, hijab, kippah, a turban, but also body piercing, tattoos. All those cultural markers were also altered, erased, or transformed through AI-generated images. So that's the reason why I created those different scoring system or the different category in my scoring system between 0 to 10. So the closer you are to a 10, the more likely or the higher your bias. So the more severe is your bias. So I started with the other images, the other image, because it could be seen as a technology glitch, but you actually have companies that are making you pay to get those type of representations of yourself. So I wanted to give them the ability to understand where those biases were and how they could remediate with those biases as well. Should I continue? Did I answer your question, ID? Hello?
Me? Can you hear me?
Yes?
Yes, Christelle, you definitely answered my question. This is fascinating. Thank you.
Of course. I can continue with the quick demo. I think we have 1 minute left.
Yes, absolutely. Christelle, again, we're seeing the arrows moving, but we're not hearing the sound with that. Could you just briefly describe what we just saw?
Oh, you are not hearing the sound?
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay. Okay, so what I was showing was basically so I was I'm going to do it again. So I was showing in my AI digital colorism solution, bias detection solution, I have I offer not only the scoring system where you see where your outputs are from a bias risk perspective, but also I provide in an observation tab, more detailed observations on what those biases are. So across the different bias categories that I have created, you can take a look. So you have the analysis where you have all the score, and in this case, all the scores were red. When you click on observation, this is where you see that for the skin tone, the AI-generated image presents a stark contrast in skin tone, shifting from a rich, deep melanin-rich complexion to a very light, pale skin tone, indicating extreme lightening. For the hair representation, some of the issues, so you really have detailed bias observations on what those biases are and where they are across the different categories. So looking at the hair as an example, the original image features natural textured hair, while the AI-generated version displays straight, long, and vibrant red hair, completely altering the original hair representation. So I'm giving the ability for companies that are building those AI-generated images to really have an understanding of what those biases are and what and where they are, but also what they are and how they manifest as well. And last but not least, I'm also starting to provide some recommendations. So this is something that I need to continue to develop. It's still a prototype at the moment, so my solution is still my first prototype, but working and functional prototype. So my plan is to continue to offer some recommendations to those builders of AI-generated images on providing some remediation strategies and remediation and actionable fixes. So those recommendations are at a very high level at the moment, but basically I'm telling them to implement algorithms that prioritize diversity in skin tone when they are collecting training data. And I'm also recommending them to have to offer some cultural sensitivity training for the AI developers, for them to have an understanding of the importance of accurate representation. So those are some of the different features that I have implemented in my prototype for my digital colorism bias analyzer, which is the solution that I'm offering. And I didn't know that you couldn't hear the sound. I need to remediate for that. And happy to share the video after if this is something that you want to share as well.
Absolutely. This has been absolutely fascinating, Christelle. I'm looking at the time here, so I'm going to ask you to stop sharing your screen. I'm going to reshare my screen. And for the students who are in the classroom right now, you have your conversation partner beside you and your piece of paper. I just would like you to write down 3 things you found most interesting and challenging about what Christelle shared, 2 questions you have for Christelle on what you want to know more about, and 1 thing Christelle said that you think, all students should know this. And teachers, I'm going to invite you to put the questions either in the Q&A or in the WhatsApp group, or you can also email them to me, and if you don't have time for them right now, we'll make sure that Christelle gets them. And if it's okay with you, as you're putting things in the WhatsApp group or the chat or emailing me, if you want to identify your school, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine too. So we'll give time for that. So Christelle, I have 1 question for you.
Sure.
So you've developed this tool. Have any companies started using it, or what has been the response you've gotten from digital colorism pointing it out, but also analyzing companies' images?
Thank you. A great question. So my prototype has not been shared yet. So you are actually the first audience taking a look at this prototype. It was developed a week and a half ago. So it's still very new. There are still a few things that we want to improve in terms of the recommendations, actually. So it hasn't been yet used by any companies. And my next step is actually to move from a prototype to a minimum viable product that I will be offering to companies to test through enterprise pilots. So that's the next step. But what happened is that, so in the end of November or in October, when I was starting to leverage those AI generated images, and I was writing articles on LinkedIn, and I built on a piece of paper my bias scoring system across the different categories. So, and I was doing it manually. So now it's AI powered, even though AI is very biased. So that's the reason why I'm making sure that I'm providing a lot of input and oversight and reinforcement learning with human in the loop while I'm using an AI powered technology to detect biases in AI. But in the beginning, it was me, myself, and I on a piece of paper and looking at every single images that I was receiving from those AI generated tools and starting attributing manually a scoring system. So once I started doing it on a piece of paper, I actually had 3 companies on LinkedIn contacting me, one in Switzerland and 2 other in the United States. And those are very small companies building AI generated headshots. And they asked me to score their AI generated outputs. So I started doing it manually. And now the plan is to do it through my tool. Once I move from a prototype into a minimum viable product that those companies will be able to leverage in their own product development workflow.
Wow. So first of all, we're honored that we're the first to see
Yes.
your product that you're developing. How exciting is that, everyone out there? Students, you're seeing an innovator in action, concerned about AI and creating to make something AI better. So you're a startup and you've got working towards a minimal viable product. What's
Yep.
that like to be an innovator within the tech ecosystem?
So for me, it's really an opportunity to align my values and my purpose. I love AI. I'm not against this technology whatsoever. I use it every day. I use at least 5 AI tools on a daily basis, but I just want to make sure that it is working and beneficial for everyone. So it's a very exciting journey. I'm still a full-time professional as well, so I still have a full day or a full-time job on the side. But this is really what brings me joy, makes me happy. And just knowing that I'm no longer just complaining about something that is not working. I'm actually part of the solution. And there is now not any other, better feeling that knowing that you are contributing to solving a problem that has been around for more than 5 years, and that has still not been solved. So at some point last October, I told myself, I think that I need to do something about it, and I need to be part of the solution. I need to fix it. And it might be just a very, very small contribution, but I look forward to, yes, to be part of making a better AI that is working for everyone.
That is so exciting and so much in alignment with what we hope for our students as they go through this AI challenge. Number one, that they don't become just users of AI, but they see themselves as creators of artificial intelligence and creators
Mm-hmm.
with artificial intelligence. So to have someone in front of them that, and we want deeply human, fundamentally AI has to be good for humans. So to have you here today to say that I'm working in the field of artificial intelligence. I'm aligning AI with my values. I'm working on a problem that I see and trying to find a solution to it, and have a real life human example in front of them about the importance of human judgment and that they can do that. Our students can do that. So thank you so much, Christelle, for being here with us today. Your presentation was absolutely fascinating. I learned a lot today. I'm sure our students and teachers have learned a lot today. And this has really deepened our understanding of bias, but also that there are solutions to bias in AI and that there are people working on them.
And last thing, everybody can do it. I don't have a computer science degree. I'm not coming from the science technology field, even though I've been working in the tech industry for the last 10 years. I'm not an engineer, but there are so many tools around us that are available now, and that are helping us building solutions with coding and without coding sometimes, that we can all contribute to this, to solving some of the challenges that we are seeing and experiencing with artificial intelligence. I was not the best student in mathematics, as an example. So it doesn't matter where you start. What matters are the problems and the challenges that you are experiencing and that you are facing, and what you are going to do about it. I think this is what matters the most.
What a lovely, encouraging message. And AI is for everyone. You don't necessarily have to come from a background in computers and math to find your way into the field. Oh, this has been wonderful today. All right, Christelle, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your really important message. Students and teachers and our audience out there who saw the presentation today, I'm sure you must have lots of takeaways from this, and I encourage you to continue thinking about our question: how might AI enrich the lives and possibilities of all students in our schools? And with that, I'm going to send you on with the rest of your day and continue with your learning. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone, and thank you for having me. Thank you very much, Heidi. It was a lot of fun and a great pleasure to be here.